a language of their own. On a small city block, there sits a lonely bus stop. Every day, a man and woman catch the same bus at different times. The only thing to keep in mind is that these strangers have never met and are always lost. He works as a florist in a shop on the other side of town, and she is a journalist for the state newspaper, 9 blocks down. If we turn our attention back to this bus stop, there isn't much to speak about. It's just a blue frame with a couple of panes of glass either side, and a clean yet old backboard painted white. Though many strangers have taken refuge at this stop, many never used to use this place as a curious postbox. It began one night when the woman came back from a night on the town, but she sat down and started to frown. An endless repetition she was being exposed to, all through the day from sunrise until noon. No respect from her colleagues and no coaching to help her to get to where she wanted to be. She, after a while, got bored and thought, if no one will listen to what I write in this book, someone will see it on this board. Despite how rebellious she felt, she decided not to play the vandalism card and produced a whiteboard marker from her purse so she could confidently express herself. As she was through with what she drew, her bus had arrived and, in her haste, she dropped the marker on the ground and dived through the doors to catch her ride. The next morning, the man had brushed his hair and placed himself in his favorite bus stop chair. However, he noticed something was off here. A whiteboard marker and a vandal had been here. His thoughts immediately prompted him to call the council, but he cancelled the call after he found an appeal in what he saw. It was a picture of a woman who walked alone by the riverside, with a scarf around her neck and a tear from one eye. The man felt drawn to it, and picked up the marker and found hiding in plain sight. He then drew himself, with a handkerchief in one hand wiping her face, and a speech bubble that read, "Please don't cry." Just like the virtuous vandal, the man nearly missed his bust, and he shoved the marker in a crack in the bus stop wall. Throughout his shift he wondered, who could this person be? Why did they cry? What would drive them to do something like this? The woman returned from another long shift that night, and at the bus stop she searched for the marker she used to unleash her feelings under streetlights. She found the marker in a crack. When she saw the board, she was taken aback. Who is he? Why did you write? She questioned as her eyes focused more on the words in the speech bubble on the top right. She then noticed behind the man was a small flower store, similar to the one she had passed long before, located by the riverside when she was 4. She erased what she drew and wrote a sentence or two in a bubble of her own, then placed the marker back in the crack and waited for a bus to take her home. The next day, the man was once again surprised over what this vandal had to say. "Why should I not cry? What business do you have here on the riverside?" The guy raised the marker up to his eyes and erased his expression from sorrowful to surprised. He answered back and drew an arrow to the shop that he drew, and waited for his bus to take him away to any place he wanted to. Day and night they would write something back and forth on the board. All the passengers by, all of them, looked on and wondered what the artists would do when they next made a trip to the store or waited for the school bus to board. Eventually, the scene became more and more detailed for the pair to see. As a complete version of the scene, the two of them, the shop and the sea, formed out the last drops of the marker's ink. Of that last few things that they drew, they sketched up a calendar and a clock, with the date set to September 12th, and the hands reflecting 6 p.m. on the dot. The curious creators then wagered their time on if one would actually bother with the other's proposal, and sure enough, they met up on the day. As the smile crept over her face and tears started to fill her eyes, he approached the woman with a scarf around her neck, and with flowers in his hand and a handkerchief, he asked, "Please don't cry."